Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we're going to dive into an active cannabis lifestyle with CBD Drinks. Canopy Growth is going to be buying into a CBD Sports Drink Market. On the line with us to discuss this is Dan Kimmis, our CBD correspondent with Good CBD Products.
You can feel it coming, Chronic. It's a big, big wave, brother.
Absolutely. Yeah, Canopy Growth, gigantic company, and active cannabis lifestyle is going to be a huge component to that, like nutraceutical feeling, where people kind of want to have that euphoric, uplifting, energetic if they're looking for cannabis. Otherwise, CBD is just going to be one of those nutritional supplements that's going to be pushed wide and far. So Canopy Growth is acquiring a major stake in BioSteel Sports Nutrition in a move to enter the cannabis-infused sports drink market, according to this Yahoo Finance article. It goes on to say, quote, "The deal will see the cannabis giant acquire a 72% stake in the Toronto-based energy sports drink maker with an agreed-upon path to a total ownership. Financial terms of the deal were not immediately released, but they're excited because the brand speaks for itself in differentiating into the marketplace." As the article goes on to say, that it's a product that people genuinely use and genuinely believe in. So without even really understanding CBD, the target market apparently is all about sports recovery, and that brand is important. So anytime you introduce cannabis to people who are unknowingly don't know CBD, probably good to get a brand that already has that wherewithal, that market share, the brand awareness, easy transition.
Yeah, you hear from a lot of the homies, right? And one of the things that's amazing is, CBD, especially, we'll say different physiology, different person to different person, but for some people, CBD after a workout or before a workout really is it's like a key. It unlocks a door for you. It really let you do more, especially in that recovery phase. I know personally for my knees and such. So it'll be interesting to see, could there be a future where before you go to the gym, you pull your sport drink and you guzzle that thing down to get your dose? Yeah, possibly. I could see that.
I could definitely see that with somebody adding some CBD powder to, the smoothies at the store that's already in the gym that I go to. I'm still kind of alarmed by this sugary sports energy drinks that are in the vending machines at the gym. This is supposed to be a health club, I guess, but you're just kind of sending out these sugary drinks. So, CBD would be better than that. I'm not there when they're cooking waffles, but I've come through when I go swimming in the afternoon when it's actually open. The smoothie place doesn't open until late, but they make garbage in there, waffles and sugary mochas and all this stuff. So having a non-intoxicating CBD for a next big trend in sports beverage and wellness, I think is going to go really, really well.
I don't disagree, but I will say this. One of the things that's driving all of that, right, is consumer choice. If the consumer wanted a sport drink, that was red, that was dyed with beet juice, they'd ask for it.
Article goes on to say, quote, "The use and acceptance of CBD-based products in the professional sports landscape has changed. They've witnessed the negative effects of prescription painkillers, and athletes are looking for healthy alternatives," end quote. I would also say that consumers are also looking for healthy alternatives as well. There's been a lot of news about the weed killer Roundup having its product glyphosate leach into Cheerios and wine and dog food. And so there's gluten-free issues where people are losing appendixes and issues with food sensitivity. So ultimately, people just want to have a more natural, healthy alternative. CBD seems to kind of be that magic miracle cure right now that everyone can just throw in, like unicorn, rainbow glitter, and it just makes the whole world happier and better. Ultimately, these companies that have money behind them are going to be able to educate consumers, because that's really the most difficult part. How do you educate and then sell? You have a war chest that we keep talking about, maybe $1 billion in order to actually get this done.
Constantly, the recurrent issue is what we read, what we go find out, and then trying to take that to the masses, and how, again, if you're at the weed party, everybody's talking weed. You go to the normal garden party, nobody, they're just not that interested. They want to feel better. They're curious. It is an amazing time because, again, you're right. At some point, right, theoretically, this all gets resolved. Whoever gets it resolved is going to be the market winner.
There's a lot at stake too. So this article goes on to say that the global sports drink maker was valued at 22.3 billion last year, and that's according to Grand View Research. So that firm expects that the segment will see almost an 8% compounded annual growth rate alone, and sales of CBD infused drinks are expected to raise 1.5 billion in 2023, according to food drink consultant Zenith Global. And yet Washington put an all-out ban on CBD beverages and edibles. So did California. Now, Canada is launching their beverages, 2.0 this month. Probably won't hit the shelves till December. But with that whole West Coast kind of not implementing CBD beverages because of the FDA, I'm not really sure how this market will look short term. I think long term, 100%. The money's going to be there long term, but short term, we have to work out some legislation and rules because the FDA is just not really wanting to play ball right now.
Sure. What do you consider short term? What do you consider long term, Chronic?
So short term, you're looking at probably 18 to 24 months. Long term, beyond 5 years. So yeah, 2024, that's long term. 2021, near term.
Yeah. Get your business ready. That's what we say on the Talking Hedge, your cannabis business podcast.
A lot has changed with the farm bill, not just CBD and hemp, but just kind of the recognition of terpenes, the overall profile, and kind of getting away from just what is indica, what is sativa, what is a hybrid. So people are learning these derivatives beyond CBD. What is CBG? What's CBN? What is that THCV I've heard about, the anti-munchie? And so it's kind of interesting. People are looking into CBD as a wellness, but they're also looking at medicinal benefits to THC. And so there's an article that goes beyond indica and sativa, with Leafly launching a graphic platform to identify cannabis strains. So how do you find out what's the right strain for you? Well, Leafly announced last week a new brand for its website and mobile app, in order for you to kind of visually understand graphically what kind of cannabis you're looking for. Traditionally, people have walked into the store and said, I want the highest THC at the lowest price point. And we know that those percentages of THC, or the percentages of CBD, will get you where you want to go faster. But what direction are you looking for, right? I mean, those are the terpene profiles of each strain, whether it's THC or CBD. The effects are what you're looking for. So finally, there's some kind of infographic or canna map on how to get there.
Well, we'll see if it, takes off and sticks, right? And at the same time, let's face it, one of the things that is interesting about the cannabis space is the subtle nuances and the differences from strain to strain, the effects, and how, if you do tune yourself a little bit, you'll find some very different experiences, weed to weed, and then the outcome, the understanding that, wait a minute, this one's for like, when I'm going to paint, I want to do this one. Geez, when I'm going to clean the house, I want that one. And hey, if it's Sunday night football, geez, I'll do this other one over here. Knowing that is really fun.
And that's just the thing. People don't really understand. They don't really know. And so when you give somebody a strain name, it doesn't give them any kind of idea of what the effects are going to be. So Leafly believes in ratios of cannabinoids and terpenes, and that can kind of be seen in this new platform that focuses on pictorially describing each strain's cannabinoid and terpene content. So there's circles that equate to CBD. There's diamonds that signify THC. So the bigger the shapes, the higher the content. And so let's kind of dive into this website. So you can kind of see right here that this is a THC because it's diamonds. And so the bigger the diamond, the higher the THC. So let's just kind of mess around and move this THC from 18 to 25%. You can see the diamonds getting larger. Moving it to the left, they get smaller. So what if I want CBD? Probably going to add some circles in there. Yeah. And then I want some terpenes. So let's get some euphoric, energetic, uplifting up in there, some fruity. Let's get some terpenoline, if that's how you pronounce it. So you got some orange in here. So now you have shapes, you have colors, and visually this canna stamp. Well, I can't call it canna stamp because that's a different company. But you get the idea. You kind of visually see what it is that you want instead of looking at numbers and percentages. Ultimately, what Canna Stamp, a competitor to Leafly, what these companies are trying to do is give you a visual representation of ultimately what you're looking for. And THC percentages have never been that. It's just been how fast you can get to whatever direction or effect you want to go. And finally, they're adding terpenes to that to kind of give you a better idea of what to expect.
Yeah, it was simple, right? Geez, this one's a 19 and that one's a 21. But it was so inaccurate because, again, the fact of the matter is, without context, those numbers mean very little, and you couldn't really, you couldn't gauge consistently what was going to occur just based on that data. Leafly's a cool crew. It will be interesting to see, because a lot of people have different takes on this. It's like the other day at Origins, right, where we were there and they had their own take on how they try and communicate this to people, etc. Again, it's one of those things where before something's a standard, it's not, right? And waiting for somebody to find, I guess we'll say, the visualization tool for cannabis that really does let everybody dial into their strain. Because, again, it's one of these things where sometime from now, 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, whatever, it's going to get nailed. And when it is, I'm really looking forward to seeing what was the final outcome, who figured out the system, Chronic.
It's definitely validation for companies that have been doing this. The Canna Stamp that's been in Seattle for at least a year or two. They were in a pitch fest that I hosted in Seattle about 6 months ago, where he presented Canna Stamp, and this idea has kind of been taken now by Leafly. And anytime that you take somebody's idea, it's validation. I guess it's flattering unless you're trying to make some revenue off of it, because this is his business model. But ultimately, all it's showing you is that people want a visual representation of what their expectations should be. So if you like Blue Dream, then maybe looking at that image will give you an idea of looking at a different strain like Harlequin, Cannatonic, some of these other ones here like the CBD Critical Mass, and understanding the difference between the THC versus the CBD, and just branching out and understanding what the effects could be. Ultimately, I think this is kind of a decent way visually to move forward until people truly know what to expect. So if you want to know what to expect in the cannabis industry, you're going to have to come back. So with that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.